Alright folks, welcome to layout update number 2. We're going to try something a little bit new this time. I'm actually going to try to describe what I'm doing a little bit. I don't really like talking on the camera, so this is kind of new for me, but I figure it's probably the best way to actually describe what I'm trying to do here. So you can see, not a whole lot of progress since last time. The snag right about now is I need 4 more Unitrack turnouts, and they're not particularly cheap, so after the holidays and that, and get a little bit of extra cash, I'll probably buy the rest of the track and get it down, try to get the wiring done. I have picked up a few things though, and played with the layout some, the track plan. So I'll go inside and I'll show you what I've worked on so far. So the biggest thing I've worked on is when I set up the track plan initially, I had issues with my rolling stock running into each other on the corners. So having trouble getting the track spacing right. So the Unitrack is designed to be a certain distance apart, and I believe it was 60 millimeters in this case. So what I actually did is I got on the computer and drew up these little spacer blocks, see if I can get them to focus, and printed them on my 3D printer. And they work very simply. They just clip over the tracks wherever. They work on the corners, on the straights, and snap right down like that. And that way I get consistent spacing all the way around. And this spacing is actually based on the distance between tracks on the Kato Unitrack crossover set that I bought, which is underneath these cars right now conveniently. But so that's one of the things I've worked on. I also actually have a final track plan. I'm sorry about the shaky camera work, guys. I might have to get something to actually use my iPhone to be able to shoot this, but this is actually the finalized track plan. So let's see if I can hold it steady while I describe what I'm doing here. So you see we got the horseshoe curve end with the 3 tracks, the inside track being the yard track, but it's the only way I could fit 3 tracks for horseshoe curve onto this layout. Then I've got the yard up top with 2 yard tracks. Then the innermost track is actually going to have an engine house on it, so I'll be able to put my locomotives inside, or a locomotive inside. And you go down to the end that's got the mountain on it, and that everything down in this area here is actually going to be inside. And then on top of it, if you look closely, you'll see the N scale loop I plan on putting up top. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of forced perspective stuff there. Maybe I'll do N-scale scenery up top. Haven't quite decided yet. But that allows my wife to run some of her N-scale stuff, and I recently picked up an N-scale locomotive too that I can run. So got that. Coming down here, we've got Glitzen, Pennsylvania coming out of the tunnel, which is going to be pretty condensed because it's actually a really small space. You can see right here, this is where I plan on doing Glitzen, Pennsylvania. And this is going to be the Allegheny Tunnel, and then the Glitzen portal sealed up. Kind of see over there on the computer, if I can. It's kind of what I have in mind. It's going to be pretty condensed because I'm not going to have room for anything much beyond the hedgerow. But I figure if I go up a little bit on each side of the tracks and kind of do an access road, I will have the 2 tunnel portals though. They might not be spaced the right distance apart, but I'm going to do the Allegheny portal open and then the Glitzen portal sealed. So that's what's going here, and then eventually I'll have the actual crossover won't be on the back like I showed earlier. That's just because I ordered I believe 2 left-hand turnouts instead of 2 right-hand turnouts, but I plan on using those elsewhere on the layout. But that's going to end up here, be easier to access, and all of the turnouts on the layout are going to be controlled by these Digitrax DS64s. I actually picked up a pair of them at the RIT show I went to last weekend, so got a pretty good deal on those. That's what I was planning on using anyway, so it just so happens that one of the guys there had a pair of used ones. So I'm pretty happy with that. That saved me quite a bit. So, and then as far as the rest of the scenery goes, I've got my Pennsylvania GP9 here, which was eBay purchase I made recently. So it's mostly for display, but well, like any other eBay purchase, you got to be careful because, well, I bought this one, and the seller mentioned nothing about the cracked gear issue that it has, which isn't a big deal for me. I know how to change that out, but for someone new to the hobby, that could be a big deal. So be careful with eBay, guys. Over here we've got the yard office that I'm going to put in. You see I've already got it started. I've got the walls chopped down to the height I want and all the windows in. Just got to get some sort of corner clamps to hold it all in place while the glue dries. I tried it once and it kind of blew apart. So I don't have a lot of experience putting buildings together and stuff like that. So, and come down here, we got the kit that I bought for the engine house. It's actually picked this up at a Canadian show a few weeks back. I was happy to find this. It seemed to be out of stock in most places right about now. But that's going to go on the closest track here. And then as far as fueling facilities, I'm just going to use the fuel truck because I've seen a couple other YouTubers that are actually railroaders say that this is pretty common nowadays in smaller terminals to not have the stationary tanks and all the fuel cranes and everything, and just have the call a contractor with a fuel truck to come fuel the locomotive. So given the amount of space I have, I think it's probably a good idea here. So it keeps it simple, and I already have it. So, and then this tunnel portal is going to be a bit more freelance. It's just going to be however I can fit it, and have the yard tracks go as far as I possibly can. So I think that's about it for on the layout. Down below here we've got actually my old layout, which is the layout I take to shows. I don't know if the lighting's going to work very well or not, but yeah, if you look back in my videos, you'll see that I built this layout while I was living with my parents, and I'm still going to use it. I want to go through and revamp it and repaint it a bit, but this actually has the control system for the new layout on it. So this really isn't going to show up, but I'll try it anyways. This has got the NCE Powerhouse Pro and the radio system and everything in it. So all I'm going to do to power this layout is run well, I've kind of done it here temporarily. I'm going to run a trailer plug or something similar up and plug it into a terminal strip that's on the bottom, that's going to be on the bottom of the new layout. And this portable layout's, like I said, it's the 5 amp NCE system. It's got a circuit breaker. It's got the radio cab, a radio cab. I'll probably get another one here eventually. But that way, yeah, when I bought the Powerhouse Pro, I planned on using it on a bigger layout. I knew it was overkill for this system, but I could afford to do it at the time, and it allowed me to do the automation I wanted to on this layout. So that's what I've got there. Trying to think if there's anything else. I picked up a couple of these these River Point trucks lately. They're pretty nice. A little expensive considering they're plastic, but there's not really anything else in HO scale that compares to them right now. So I kind of figured on this portion here outside of Gallitzin, I'm actually going to do a signal. It's one of the things I want to do with this layout is animated block signals. So I plan on doing that by buying BLMA bridges or similar bridges and actually using Arduinos to run them. The reason I want to use Arduinos is I can actually program them to customize them how I like. There's a couple of products out there that do infrared detection and animation as it is now, but if I program my own, I'll save a little bit of money, not much. But the main thing is I can program the aspects differently, and I can program the timing between aspects differently. So I'm going to put one here. I haven't decided if I'm just going to put a modern BLMA signal, or I was thinking about actually doing a scene where they're changing out the Pennsylvania Railroad style, color position lights. And I was thinking of doing one working color position light and a new mast right behind it with the top covered with a piece of plastic, making it look like it's covered with a bag, and then have the maintainer's truck here working on it, and then have a new one on the inside track. So I was thinking of doing that there. And if any of you are familiar with Pennsylvania, or Horseshoe Curve in Pennsylvania, you know, coming off the curve, heading back toward Altoona, there's a big cantilever bridge. The cantilever bridges that are available in HO scale are only 2 tracks, but the BLMA triple track bridge would work pretty nice here. And I think I'm going to put one of those somewhere on this corner, somewhere in here, where it goes over all 3 tracks. So And once again, that'll be animated by the Arduino, which I can program however I feel like it. I'm probably using infrared for detection just because it's simple. So that's some of the stuff I'd like to do with the layout. You can see I've got my work area over here, which doubles as a computer desk, and live feed of the actual horseshoe curve. So it's coming together. I guess the one last thing, I did notice that the temporary bridge is not going to work, and that the temporary bridge is actually the reason that the trains were running into each other on the corners last time when I tried to set up both tracks and run both tracks. You can see the spacing is nowhere near correct, so I'm going to have to move and widen the bridge in order to make it work. But that's okay. I was thinking of actually maybe making the deck out of aluminum to make it a little bit thinner, doing an aluminum deck and then aluminum sides like this, and then I can actually attach styrene parts to the sides to detail it. But I was thinking, instead of having it screw into the fascia like this, actually cut back the seam, bevel this down, and actually put an abutment on each side. That way it looks like, rather than having it drive off a vertical cliff and have the fascia up against this, actually have the bridge abutments in the seam and just have it like the bridge is going off over water, even though there won't be any water. Just have it kind of taper down on both sides. So that's kind of what I was thinking for the bridge. But as it is now, this is a temporary thing. There's no way it's going to work with the final track plan, but didn't really expect it to. That's why it was so crudely put together. But I guess the only other thing left to think of is to show you the locomotive I picked up at the RIT show this past weekend. So this is a new Athearn ready to roll SD38. So I guess we'll fire it up and run a little bit. Got the new factory sound system with it. It's pretty nice. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, anything, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'm pretty new to this. Never much like hearing myself talk on camera, so we'll see how much I cringe when I'm putting this together in the editor. But All right, thanks again. Bye.